Breaking tonight, a horrifying new video of yet another American journalist being beheaded, adding new urgency to the question, what should the United States be doing about the terrorist army behind this? Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megan Kelly. The story broke a little after 1 p.m. Eastern Time. A video had surfaced appearing to show journalist Steven Sotloff reading a statement clearly under duress right before a hooded terrorist from the group ISIS cut off his head. The posting was titled, quote, "A second message to America." The 31-year-old Sotloff grew up in Miami, decided on a career in journalism out of college, and based himself in the Middle East, where he filed pieces for Time magazine and others. He disappeared a year ago while reporting from a Syrian town. Trying to document the barbarism there, he ultimately became a victim of it. This is the second time in as many weeks we have seen an American murdered on camera by this group. The British Prime Minister has already released a statement calling this a despicable, disgusting act. He says ISIS is a threat to the British homeland and is implementing a crackdown on local extremists. Our president so far has said nothing about the second American to be decapitated by ISIS. Late last week, he did announce that we have no strategy for dealing with this group yet. And in the latest twist tonight, the Pentagon, moments ago confirming that a new group of a few hundred American soldiers are now headed to Baghdad to boost security at our embassy there, just 9 days before America remembers the 9/11 terror attacks. Ed Henry just filed this report from Estonia, where President Obama arrives tonight.
Good evening, Megan. The president taking this trip to try to showcase himself on the world stage, but immediately starting out on defense, under pressure tonight on a range of fronts. First of all, that videotape allegedly showing ISIS beheading a second American journalist, raising new questions about the administration's approach there with dealing with the terrorists. But secondly, President stopping here in Estonia first to send a signal to Russian President Vladimir Putin, because I'm just standing right now about 100 miles from the Russian border, and later this week, the president and NATO allies are going to announce a rapid response team of about 4,000 NATO troops that would be stationed here in Europe to push back on Russian aggression. Well, Russian officials today fired back that they'll adjust their military strategy accordingly if NATO expands. And then there's a leaked report that Putin, in a phone call with the president of the European Commission, threatened that he'll simply just take Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, within 2 weeks if he wants to. A sign that Putin is sort of shrugging off the president's moves here in this region. Bottom line on the videotape is the president left Washington without commenting on this alleged beheading. U.S. officials say that's because they're trying to authenticate this videotape. The intelligence community pouring through it late this evening as we speak. Bottom line, though, is the president won't be able to duck questions about this for long. He has a news conference here in Estonia tomorrow, likely to get questions not just about the videotape, but remember that news conference back at the White House last week where the president admitted he does not have a strategy yet to deal with ISIS militarily in Syria. Likely to be pressed on that, Megan.
Ed Henry, thank you. Joining us now with more, Britt Hume, our Fox News senior political analyst. Britt, good to see you tonight. And so let me start with the broader question of ISIS and what to do about them. The president famously said not long ago, "I was elected to end wars, not to start them." How big a role do you think that is playing in his announcement that we don't yet have a strategy for dealing with this terror army?
Well, what he said, of course, Megan, was he doesn't have a comprehensive strategy for dealing with ISIS as it exists throughout the Middle East. That is to say, not only in Iraq, where it's been so active recently, but also in Syria, where it is based. And, of course, this came after his own military leaders had said that ISIS could not be defeated without being taken on in Syria. He said we don't have a strategy to do that, and there was no sign at the time that he viewed the task of creating such a strategy or deciding on one, which I think would be closer to it, with any urgency. This is a man, Megan, whose vision of the world as he had when he took office has turned out to be a mirage. And his own sense of the world and how it will react to him has also turned out to be a mirage. I think he really, this is a man, Megan, who told someone I know before he was running for office, when he was in the Senate, he was contemplating a run for president, wouldn't it be great for the world if I were president? And I think he truly believed, Megan, that the size of the American footprint in the world, particularly militarily, was a big reason for the troubles we had, and that if he were elected, with the approach that he took and with the idea that he was going to end the wars, reduce the American footprint, and that he would be such a breath of fresh air on the world stage that our adversaries, Iran, even antagonists such as Russia, would look at him differently and look at the United States differently. Well, they have. They've decided the United States is weak, and it's time for them to go on the march, as indeed they have.
He said this explicitly, and we actually have the soundbite. I was going to use it a little later with Andy McCarthy. I don't know if we have it now. Yeah, we do. Listen, just to prove your point, I didn't know you were going to say that, but just so the audience could hear it from then Senator Obama himself, take a listen to him in November 2007.
Well, I truly believe that the day I'm inaugurated, not only does the country look at itself differently, but the world looks at America differently. If I'm reaching out to the Muslim world, they understand that I've lived in a Muslim country and I may be a Christian, but I also can understand their point of view. I think that the world will have confidence that I am listening to them. That will ultimately make us safer.
That's it, Megan. There you have it. I mean, that's what he thought, and I think, obviously that's not turned out to be the case. And, I think he is now confronted with the world as he thought he knew it is not the world it is. And I don't think he knows what to do. And I think he is a man who turns out, for all his apparent intelligence, to be a slow learner on a number of things and extraordinarily not adaptable.